This is Orange Nation Overtime with Stephen Fonte and Paulie Sibilia.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Orange Nation Overtime alongside Paulie Sibilia. I'm Stephen Fonte. Another top 20 opponent on the road, Paulie. Another loss for the Orange, 72-59 to Virginia. And, you know, we've seen throughout this season a couple things rear their ugly head time and time again for this team. Turnovers and rebounding, and both of those were issues on Saturday. Syracuse out-rebounded by 10 against Virginia, and they turned it over 13 times.
Yeah, most importantly was, again, in the second half, they gave up offensive rebounds.
Yeah, that led to buckets.
Yeah. And then it's funny, they also got a possession. It feels like Syracuse gives up offensive rebounds and it leads to a three. Syracuse gets 3 consecutive offensive rebounds and can't score in one possession. Yeah. It's just that they're snake bitten. I think we've hit the dead end sign in Syracuse basketball.
Another big story to come out of that game. No Kyan Anthony at all after not playing in the second half against North Carolina. Played just 9 minutes against the Tar Heels. Did not take the court against Virginia, and that has become a story, right? You know, ESPN's posting about it, and some national outlets posting about it. What do you make of Kyan not seeing the floor on Saturday?
I honestly don't know any details, and I just got to go on what the coach says. It was a coach's decision, and I can understand it in this game because it kind of ran with the freshmen didn't play in this one because those are grown men from, pro leagues.
I was going to say, they got a pro guy playing.
And the freshman didn't play in this game.
Yeah, Sadiq just played 2 minutes, and Kyan Anthony did not play at all against Virginia in a 72-59 loss. You said it feels like a dead end. Syracuse now 13-11, 4-7 in conference play, and the fan base has been angry throughout the season. It seems like it's only getting worse, right? And I think that's kind of where this program is right now, is that it's just a lot of people feel like change needs to be made, and when and how are they going to go about doing it? But there is a sense around this program right now that things are very negative, right, from the outside looking in.
Yeah, and you just. I know everybody's angry, but you just got to ride it out now.
Yeah,
it is what it is. I know people don't like hearing that, coach speak, but you got one more month of your horrible misery to get through.
And the reason I bring up the negativity is that was a theme among many of our calls today on the Orange Nation radio show. We're going to give you a sample of a couple of the early calls from the show today, beginning with Jay in Baldwinsville, who tried to make some sense of it all and kind of talks. He talked about some big picture items that had to do with the negativity as well. So we're going to play back a couple of those calls right now. Here's a sample of what the callers had to say on the show today.
Hey guys, I just wanted to talk a little bit about in my opinion what's going on kind of out here in the community a little bit, and I hope you give me just a little bit of rope to get this out, not to ramble and stuff like that. And I wanted to comment a little bit about kind of what Coach Jack's post-game comments were. They were passionate, albeit a little bit rambling at times, but with her kind of, obviously she was standing up for Red. We all know that, but what she's got to understand is that you got to go back a few years when, all we heard out here in the public, in the community, when they were talking about way back when there was no NIL, and you had to hear the horror stories allegedly of these players that were on scholarship yet didn't have enough to, they could barely afford a bagel for breakfast, and the university was making all these money on them. And so they asked the coaches about that, and the coaches were like, I think they should be paid all the way across the board. Absolutely. But what they weren't doing, I think, was really that they were putting themselves on the clock because of basically they basically shorted their leashes as for their coaching if things go wrong, right? So what she's saying, it just didn't strike. It just didn't strike well for us because, to be honest with you, they just opened the floodgates here, and it's as far as NIL, and it's changed. So it's changed the fans' expectations. Before, the fans could say, "Hey, the team's not doing well, the coach isn't doing well," but hey, remember, these kids are just amateurs. They're just college kids. Let's give them hey, let's get behind them, support them. Well, to be honest with you guys, those days are over when you're hearing the number of dollars that these guys are making, especially in the blue-collar community here. And then, of course, it doesn't help when you've got some of these athletes, such as Carson Beck, when they asked him before the NFL championship game, or I'm sorry, the NCAA championship game, is like, how is he balancing school life, his school and playing as quarterback for Miami. How is he balancing that? And he just smirked and said, I graduated 2 years ago. So there's that resentment a little bit that now that if these kids aren't doing well, you're investing these monies in these kids, and there's got to be a return on investment for that money that you invest. You can't just pat them on their belly and burp them and say it's going to be all right. There's an expectation now that they're professional athletes, and this is what comes with that. So, I mean, it's just where we are. And the NCAA created this monster, and you're not going to get the sympathetic fan anymore. They want to know what the return on their investment is. And lastly, what I'll say, guys, real quick is that, right now, it's actually good that you're having still these fans being passionate and arguing with you, Paulie, and stuff like that, because the next thing that's going to set in is going to be apathy. And when the apathy sets in the program, that's when the dollars disappear, and that's when you guys you're really going to be moving on to another sport to talk about. So in a way, all this screaming and nonsense that you're hearing is good because there still is a passion. The anger and the fire is still there.
All right, let's get another phone call in. Dominic in North Carolina is up next. Dom, what's going on?
Good morning, gentlemen. Thanks for taking my call.
No problem.
So, just from traveling a lot more and finally getting to see games inside the dome, football and basketball, I think some of the Syracuse fans, what their issue is that this is their pro team. And they want the organization, quote unquote, to be run like a pro basketball team, to where if the team is not playing well in the season, they just fire their coach and go get another coach, like the Knicks or like the Nets or whoever. And it doesn't work like that. Red is a family hire, just like a lot of other colleges do. And unless you have a donor willing not just to do the buyout, but to buy out that season, it's really not going to happen. And I don't think that Red is that much of a cancer of a human being to where, like the ECU football coach here where I lived 2 years ago, had to be let go halfway through the season or it was over. And even with that situation here, a donor had to come in and pay the rest of that season to that coach so he could just leave so they could pay somebody else as an interim and make a little bit more money. It's a very, very different situation than pro basketball. And for you guys, I feel bad for you, both of you, even though you have a fun and easy job sometimes. But you guys are getting killed because they expect you two to be Mike and the Mad Dog and just screaming through the microphone, something needs to change, and they're just not getting what they want. And so if they think that something needs to change, instead of like yelling at you, just call you, and they should scream into their phone.
The reason we're not screaming something needs to change, Dom, is because we know something's going to change. Right? We don't need to scream it. Everybody knows it. Last year we knew the change wasn't coming, so we weren't screaming something needs to change because it was yelling at deaf ears.
Yep.
So,
and I think they're frustrated too because they hear Boeheim, Jim made that comment a few weeks ago where he says, I think Red should have 5 years. He kind of like undercuts the fan, and they don't like that. But they're also screaming at different points in Jim's career ago. I remember my grandmother telling me when I lived in New Jersey when Moten made the famous, phantom timeout after it already happened, that they thought that Jim should have been fired there. Oh, they didn't tell Moten after what happened with Chris Webber that you can't, call timeout without timeout. Like they used to kill him too and wanted him gone here and there for years. So it's just, I think that they think that this is their pro team and going and buying tickets is enough. And that's just not how it works in college sport.
We said that last year, Paulie, that they were never going to make a change after year two, and I think there were a lot of reasons for that. Financial, certainly. I don't think they had given Red everything he needed to succeed from an NIL perspective through those first 2 years. And, oh, by the way, his two best players got hurt. I think there were many reasons why they were never going to let him go last year. The thought was, all right, bring him back, give him those NIL resources, improve the roster, which they have. and take the excuses off the table and have this be a make or break year. And we heard John Wildhack at the beginning of the season say, the mandate is meaningful games in March, and as we all know, that has not happened here in early February.
Yeah, and we've said off the air, and I think even on the air, they're almost to the point they're not playing meaningful games in February, and it's just that's not okay.
Getting back to the negativity piece of it, Felicia Leggett-Jack had some strong comments for the fan base and for the community after her game yesterday against Louisville, coming to the defense of her friend and her colleague, Adrian Autry. That's part of what we got into during today's business with Tim Leonard. Take a listen.
We'll get into the actual game yesterday in due time here. When Syracuse played Louisville yesterday, they fell by 19 points. Yeah, Coach Jack went on a little bit of a rant or a tangent in her post-game press conference yesterday, talking about how there needs to be more positivity around Syracuse athletics right now.
Get on social media, and you would think that somebody beating kids in the locker room, the way our fan base on social media comes after some of my colleagues. You don't see that with Louisville. You don't see that with North Carolina. You don't see that at Duke. We're having bad years in some sports. But do you have to say every time with a paragraph of negativity? We got to get people to buy into the fact that this is Syracuse University. This is a global school. This is an incredible academic institution. And guess what? We're going to fly around in sport. We're going to really do our best. And I know that we want to be great. I was here when it was great. I was here when we were going Sugar Bowls, Fiesta Bowls. And I was here when we were, challenging in the Big East Championship. But I just never seen it get so negative here. What happened? We got to stop that part first. Yeah, people are having bad years. We got it. But can you lift a person up too? We got to press send with positivity. We get it. We see it. We all watch. But can you try, Syracuse? Can we try to be a little bit more positive with the sport that's struggling?
So those were her comments. I'm going to get a chance to talk about this more, maybe with Coach Jack tonight. We'll have the Coach Jack show out at the Wegmans Burger Bar in DeWitt. That'll be 7 to 8 p.m. Shameless plug for that. And I'll talk about this more on my show, maybe. I tend to agree with a lot of what she said. I'm sure the obvious retort from the Twitter fan base would say, well, we're negative because things have been really bad, Coach. And I understand that a little bit. I don't know. Do you guys have thoughts on what she said?
I don't think you need to be positive either. I don't think you need to lift Coach up. You'd be like, oh, she's the greatest. No, there is a point where you could just shut up though and ignore it.
Yeah.
Go talk
or treat him like a human being, right?
Yeah. But you don't even have to acknowledge it.
Yeah.
You just go, does it make your life better to be a jerk on Twitter? You just move on. Say it once. I'm fine with it once. There's certain people that just every game fire. We get it.
Yeah.
The university knows.
Yeah, and I think you're onto something there, Paulie. In terms of her comments, I agree with the fundamental basis of her comment, which is let's treat him like a human being, right? And I think that is important. The part about it's not happening at UNC, Louisville, or Duke. Well, it's not happening at Duke right now because Duke is fourth in the country or whatever they are. Louisville and North Carolina have both had their fair share of issues in the last several years. Like the Kenny Payne era at Louisville did not go well, and people were up in arms about that. And Hubert Davis, is and has been on the hot seat, and he's a top 20. He's coaching a top 20 program at the moment. So I think it happens in other fan bases, and I do think this goes back to Jay's call from the beginning of the show about I do think the NIL era has changed what people feel as though they can say to and about a college team that they're watching and the coaches and the players for that team. But her fundamental, the premise of what she's trying to say there about, let's just treat each other with some kindness. To your point, Paul, you don't have to be like, oh, it's going to be okay. No, it's not okay right now for the fan base. They're disappointed. They're upset. They do want change. But you also don't have to cross the line and personal attacks and, call people clowns. And that's not necessary.
Yeah. The other thing about this, though, that I don't think the average fan gets is rosters turnover every year now. And everybody. She did say something also that you are what you tweet. Like, I believe she said, like, the recruits see this stuff. The new coaches see this stuff. I'm not saying it's going to deter somebody from coming here. It may not. It doesn't help. Right?
Well, right or wrong, Nathan George has made the comment this year that he's been underwhelmed by the fan base, or he feels like the fan base is too critical. And I'm sure a lot of people will hear me say that, and they are then more in line to go after Nathan George, and they think that's ridiculous. But it's getting across to the players, is what I'm saying. It's getting across to the coaches. Like, Coach Jack goes on social media, and she's getting fed Syracuse stuff, and she's seen it, I'm sure. So whether it's right or wrong, I mean, it definitely is impacting things a little bit, probably.
And let me say this, too, because I know Coach Jack is getting some pushback for her comments yesterday from that faction of the fan base. I respect her for sticking up for her friend, right?
Yes,
that's her friend.
absolutely.
That's her colleague. And, you know, if somebody was coming after you, Paulie, like, I would have your back. And I would like to think vice versa.
I don't know, Steve.
No, I would.
I'm
Same thing with
on
you,
Twitter a lot, and you should see the things that people say about me on Twitter. I have never once seen you step in and be like, he's not a dumb dwarf. How dare you?
I'm sorry I'm not reading your replies, but you get my point, is that she's coming to the defense of her friend, her colleague, like her friend for a very long time, you know,
and that's the other thing.
She has every right to do that. And I think that the fundamental basis of what she's trying to say, it makes a lot of sense. Some fans are to the point where they're so angry that they don't want to hear that. And I understand it, but I do agree with what she's trying to say.
The other thing is, like, Autry went to school here. He played here. You know, he didn't have to come here. He was a McDonald's All-American. You know, he could have probably gone anywhere. He did. He tried to coach here and win, and it didn't work out. You don't have to be a jerk about it. It's not like he did it on purpose.
Yeah. Yeah, and, I mean, going back to, I know you didn't bring up Kyan Anthony here, but the thought that he would bench a player out of spite and not try to win a game or not play a player who he thinks can help him win a game, that's just not going to happen. He wants to win as many games as possible. He wants to get it figured out. He's not going to bench a player out of spite.
Somebody goes, Autry went to school here, so it's okay that he's been bad at his job. No, he's going to get fired. It's not okay. Yeah. That's the point. The point is you don't have to pile on.
Yeah.
Like,
if it was anyone, we'd be saying this. Yeah, he's a human being. Whoever is the head coach.
And this weird take that just because you have money doesn't mean you it's like you want to fail. Oh, I failed at my job and I sucked, but you know what? I got millions of dollars. I'm happy. Like, people with money can be miserable too, and like have bad days. It's just this weird hate of people. Like, you think just because somebody's rich that they don't want to succeed?
Yeah. All right. What else you want to get to?
So Jeff Goodman tweeted shortly before we went on the air for the show this afternoon that he's basically bringing up Brian Hodgson as a name for Syracuse. He said, Brian Hodgson in his first season has South Florida in first place in the American after beating Tulsa yesterday. The Bears are tied at 8-3 and swept Tulsa this season. Hodgson, a former Nate Oates assistant at Buffalo and Alabama, was 45-28 in 2 years at Arkansas State before being hired at USF. If/when Syracuse makes a move on Red Autry, I'd expect Hodgson, who is from just outside of Buffalo, to be in the mix. That's from Jeff Goodman.
LA Orange says people pile on because the school and radio seem complacent. Like, we don't have anything to do with it. Like, no matter what we say, it doesn't matter. Like, I could come out here today and be like, you know what? I think Red needs another year. I could come out and say that and be honest about it. The university is not going to listen to me. I could come out here. I could have come out here last year and said Red needs to be fired, and they wouldn't have fired him.
I mean, we took countless calls last year about that, and again, was not going to happen. In terms of Brian Hodgson, he does make a lot of sense, right? And somebody asked during the break about, you know, candidates and who we think should be hired. I think he is certainly in the mix of that collection of coaches that they're going to look at and give a strong, hard look to. And do I think that there is one coach that is the answer? I don't know that. There might be 5 or 6 that could come here and do a great job, and I think he is on that list. Makes a lot of sense. Again, ties to New York State, and grew up in Buffalo, played at Jamestown Community College, I believe, just outside of Buffalo, and worked with Nate Oates at Buffalo, went to down to Alabama with him, and now he's had success as a head coach for, I think, 3 years, right? Or 2 years?
2 years at Arkansas State, yeah.
and then one in South Florida. Young guy, right? He's in his late 30s. I think he makes a lot of sense for a lot of reasons, and I think he is among those guys that could come here and do a really good job.
For years, you have said we're going to be fine and everything's fine when it wasn't fine. No, when I was saying everything's going to be fine, I was talking life. Right, Steve? You understood that.
Sun will come up tomorrow.
Yeah. Like if
and it has. You were right about that. The sun has come up every day.
I always said you're going to be fine. Syracuse is going to be fine. Yes, we'll all be fine. If losing basketball games is what's got you this angry, your life is pretty charmed. That basketball is what you got you this upset. Let's go to Mark in New York City.
Mark, what's going on?
Yeah, hey guys, just to Coach Jack Scott comments and what you guys are discussing, I totally agree with the point that the fans have a say more than ever now with NIL, but I think just specifically for Syracuse fans, I think just everyone's just in rage right now, given our football season and our basketball season. So I think a lot of it has to do with how the football season played out and how this basketball season is playing out. Just week after week, weekend after weekend, our school just seems to be getting totally embarrassed on national TV. Dating back to the Notre Dame football game, and now the basketball season, we're losing games by 20 plus points. It's just almost just week after week, we're getting just embarrassed. And I just don't think it's helping at all just how this football season has played out and now this basketball season has played out. And I just have to think that has played a role in this.
Getting back to the candidates of, who the next head coach will be / should be, I was asked during one of our commercial breaks by the chat today who I think the next head coach should be. And I guess the way I look at it, Paulie, is I don't know if there's just one answer. I don't know if you look at it and say, well, this is the guy. This guy will is guaranteed to lead the program back to where it once was. I don't know that anybody is a guarantee. Right, but I think that there is a pool of coaches that make a lot of sense, and I don't know if it's just one. It could be one of several that would be the right decision to lead this program back to where everybody wants it to go.
Yeah, I don't care who it is, where they coached before, why they coached before. Just get it right. Right?
Yeah. That's the important thing. And I know there's a faction of the fan base that want it to be either Jerry or Hop or Jason Hart for that matter, somebody with Cuse ties. There's another faction of the fan base that they don't want it to be a member of the family. As you stated, the most important thing is find the guy who's going to get it right.
Look at them all.
Yeah, we're right.
I mean, it's a good thing to have that problem that you've got guys that could potentially coach that were here, and you also could go outside the box.
No doubt. No doubt.
National Rehydration Day for the first time this year, Steve.
Today?
Yes, February 9th. You know why?
Do I know why? Why they made it. No, I don't.
Because everybody's hungover from the Super Bowl.
Oh.
So it's National Rehydration Day.
I thought it had something to do with the Super Bowl.
Every Monday after the Super Bowl from now on.
Okay.
It's also National Football Hangover Day.
And National Pizza Day, apparently.
Yeah, and National Lox and Bagel Day. A lot of food, a lot of drinking.
So is National Rehydration Day the day after the Super Bowl, so it changes every year?
Yes, Monday after the big game.
Okay, so the date changes after. Okay, so that makes sense. So if you said, second Monday.
How do they get a national day? Now I got to look at this because in 2019, Katie Nolan of ESPN created the National Football Hangover Day.
She just decided.
Yeah, and Liquid IV has decided that this is National Rehydration Day.
We should come up with an idea on Orange Nation.
How about National Shut the Hell Up Day? I would like that. Nobody says a word the whole day.
For 2 hours, we just sit here.
No, not 24 hours. Everybody just shuts the hell up.
I thought from 12 to 2 every day.
No.
4:30 to 5 on WSYR Plus?
Every day during basketball season is Shut the Hell Up Day. Thanks.
All right, we got to go. We're going to shut up now. For Paulie, I'm Steve. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We'll talk to you again tomorrow, everybody.
Download the WSYR Plus app on your TV to stream News Channel 9 for free. Just go to your smart TV, search WSYR Plus in the App Store, and download to start streaming today.